Once again, I want to welcome you to this week's podcast. And again, my name is Peter Mulinge, and I am the founder of Aslead Institute, an institution that brings to our viewers topics on servant leadership and the importance of servant leadership in this day and age that we live. And it's good to know more about servant leadership and why servant leadership can answer most of the questions about leadership, the crises that we see in leadership, the leadership that we see does not meet or does not answer the questions that we are facing in our days. So Aslead is where we focus more on servant leadership. We want people to understand the importance of servant leadership. And we are, as I said, that we have got two programs. We have a program for faith-based leadership, that is servant leadership for religious studies. And we have another word, servant leadership for corporate world. All these programs, we tackle issues about on servant leadership. And today I want to talk about servant leadership. And the question that I want has, or maybe to share with my viewer, is why rethink about leadership? Why should we think and we bring our minds together and rethink leadership? I want to say this: when you sit back and think about the leadership that we have experienced in our country, and that has been experienced post colonialism, you will find that as much as we fought and our forefathers and our parents went to fight for freedom and seek freedom from the colonial masters, it is like, you'll agree with me, it is like that things have continued going bad, worse and worse. The institutions that were started by the colonialists, or maybe the people who were oppressing us, maybe especially as Kenya, the British colony, who really we were under them. When you sit back and think some of the things that were initiated or were started by the colonial, some of them, they are being destroyed, or some of them do not exist. And if they existed, they are in a pathetic state. And one of the things that I have realized, the fire that our freedom fighters and the promises that they promised, the change that they promised to bring to our countries, it's like we don't see them. Our country and many countries, those were under colonial, they have continued to be poor and poorer. Infrastructures have continued to deteriorate. And then you ask ourselves, what has gone wrong? And yet, our forefathers and our fathers, they went to fight. They went to the forest to fight so that we can have freedom, so that we can govern ourselves, so that we can lead ourselves. And after we got independence, it seems that nothing much has changed. It seems that as if we have continued to suffer, and our own leaders, those times we were saying that we were suffering under the leadership of foreigners. Now it's like we are suffering under the leadership of our own. And after my studies and research, I have come up with a thought of rethinking leadership. And the question that we need to ask ourselves, as the leadership that has brought us independence, helped us to move forward. How has this leadership that brought us independence helped us to grow, helped the countries to grow? How has it? And if not, we don't see any changes, then we should ask ourselves why. And that's why I am bringing a proposal of rethinking leadership. Because according to me, my argument is this: I think that there is a need of change in leadership. The style of leadership that we have been under in the last 50 years. And if you will agree with me, you'll realize that at least something must have changed since we got independence. Now is over 50 years. Kenya is over 50 years since we got independent, and still we are struggling with the issues of leadership. We are still asking ourselves, which type of a leadership should we embrace, or what kind of a leaders do we want? Because if at all I want to say this, we have seen some issues that has actually have drawn us back, issues like of corruption. They have become a major thing. They have become an issue in our society. They have become like a cancer in our society. And that is why I propose and I argue that I think we need to rethink leadership. We think we need to ask ourselves, what kind of a leaders do we need to bring to lead us? What kind of a leaders do we need to be in higher places? And my proposition is this: since we have seen immediately we got our independence, we were saying that we were under dictatorial rule, we were under oppressive rule, leadership. We were under a leadership that was not giving us the freedom we want. But the question that I ask ourselves, do we really enjoy the freedom that actually we were fighting for? Do we really enjoy the benefit of those who were killed during the fight for independence in this country? Are we enjoying the freedom? Are we enjoying the fruits of our independence? And I do want to say this: I think the need to think about how we can think of changing our thoughts about leadership, about our thinking of leadership. I think this is the right time, and I do want to propose that we need to start thinking how we can develop leadership that will address the issues that we are facing as a country. Because I totally want to say that the leadership that brought us independence, I don't want to say that it has not worked anything for us. It has worked. But I want to say that there is much more we need. And it is like, look at in our country, for example, after every election since we got independence, there has been war, fighting. And it is like now, if there is any thing that we all fight for, is how I can become a leader. Because it seems as if the only way you can become wealthy, the only way you can become rich, the only way you can become somebody in the society is by just becoming a politician. And now it is like everyone is running for political leadership. And you ask yourself, why in great minds they are going into politics? Why? Just think about the great minds, people, scholars, they have ended up becoming politicians. And then you ask yourself, why would people want to leave great vocations, great work, great positions, and then go to parliament and just seek to become a mere MP? Why is this? And for me, I think political leadership has been a conduit of most of the evil vices that we notice in our country today. And this is why, because you see people come to parliament, it's like they go there to have a protection, to enjoy immunity of their evil to enjoy their to feel that impunity, that I am covered, I am protected. As long as I'm a leader, I can do this thing. I have done this. Nobody can question me. Personally, I want to say political leadership has never done in a good. And that's why as Aslead, we are here to bring up another generation of leaders. And these leaders are not just leaders, they are servant leaders. Leaders who say that I am going to seek that position of leadership for the sake of others. I want to bring a change. I want to remain a model or a person who will be concerned with the people that who have brought me to leadership. And I want to say this, if we were to rethink about leadership, and if we were to be asked, what kind of a leadership do you want us to embrace today? I would propose we think about servant leadership. Because I want to believe that the way when you try to think, even from the minds of people and the talking of people, I think there is an awakening of people wanting to become servant leaders. I think even people who know that I am not leading the way a servant should lead, you'll hear them saying that I am a servant leader. And we have heard them. And it is like they want to associate with themselves with the servant leaders. Why? Because they have known that political leadership that we see, it has never answered questions. The leadership that gave us independence, it has not solved all the solutions that we face as a people in leadership. Because leadership is about life. You know, leadership is life. The kind of leaders we put into power, that is the kind of life that we are going to live. You see, when we put leaders in leadership, those leaders, we like it or not, they will control us. They will make budgets for us. They will rule over us. They will dictate us. So if we bring leaders who are selfish in leaders, we shall suffer, because they will never be careful about us. They will be minding about themselves. And this is what we have seen throughout our lives since we got independent. We bring up leaders into positions of leadership. They become wealthier. They become billionaires. They become millionaires. The people put them into leadership. They continue getting poorer. You know, the roads continue getting poorer. All the infrastructures, they continue no longer getting better. And this is because the choice of people that we put in leadership, you know, they are not mindful about the people who put them there. And that's why I'm proposing for us to rethink about leadership. And I want to say this again, I want to repeat and say that the thing to think about is to think how we can bring up another generation of servant leaders who lead for the sake of others. And that's where here in Aslead Institute, we focus on developing another generation of servant leaders, leaders who will prioritize the needs of others, leaders who will say, It is not about me. It is about the people who have given me the mandate to lead. And the friends, I don't want to say that we have all, I don't want to generalize everything and say all leaders, political leaders. No, I believe, and I have seen some who are genuine, who are authentic, who are servant leaders.